All right, the House of Representatives recently passed 39 constitutional amendment bills for second reading. Among the bills include one that seeks to amend the provisions of the Constitution to require for the official resignation from political party before the defection by members of the National Assembly and State House Assembly. In a similar bill, the lawmakers are seeking to make it compulsory national and state executive members seeking elected government positions. Another standout bill that seeks to establish the Federal Capital Territory House of Assembly. Well, there's also the bill that seeks to provide for the determination of all appeals arising from election petition tribunals prior to swearing in of President-elect, Vice President-elect, Governor-elect, Deputy Governor-elect, members-elect of the National and State Assemblies. In yet another, the National Assembly is seeking to amend the Constitution to give it the power to alter the timelines for the election tribunals. All right, we're going to try to break down these bills. Joining us in the studio is Dr. Sam Amadi, who is the director of Abuja School of Social and Political Thought. Dr. Amadi, Sam, glad to have you join us. Let's begin with the one on, just give me a moment, on the court before Governor-elect, President-elect, and all the rest of them is sworn in that this appeals should be, this has been the talk for a long time now.
Yeah, I think it's a good bill. I mean, during the last, after 2023 election, I did some tweets where I argued that it doesn't make sense to inaugurate a president who still has, cases, challenges, the validity of his declaration as president. I mean, it's actually illogical. So what that means, the idea of inauguration is that this president has now attained the status, legal status to be president. So coming back to try to impeach that president through judicial action. And every case filed, you presume that it could succeed or not succeed. And so I think perhaps that's part of why it's been difficult to remove presidents or cancel presidential elections, because if you look at even Yar'Adua, Buhari, and Yar'Adua, it was a split 4-3 Supreme Court, and some arguments in town was that it was actually the other way, 4 for Buhari, 3 for Yar'Adua, but somebody has to step in or swap in. So the sentiment around, oh, this guy is already in power for 6 months or thereabouts,
so why?
And then he creates the fait accompli. He has executive power. He could mobilize, in worst case, he could actually mobilize the state against judicial action. So I think it's the right thing to do, that you foreclose. In fact, it didn't even need to have constitutional amendment. The constitution, judges could actually manage the judicial process to conclude. But this is better, it makes it clear.
Okay, let's take the one of resignation from political party before the defection by members of the National Assembly and State House of Assembly.
I think probably what people would like to see is, making it clear, constitutionally text clear, that if you decamp, you lose your position. I mean, this one is a formality. When anybody goes to the House to defect, normally they normally write to their constituencies to withdraw their membership. So this is a tiny formality. The real question is, should our legislators and our elected executives have the power to defect and leave their stay in their party? The constitution was very clear for legislators. It says, except there's a merger or a national division, and the Supreme Court has interpreted it to be not local, it has to be a division, conflict, crisis that has the capacity to paralyze the operation of the party at the national level.
How about giving the FCT an assembly? Does it mean FCT becomes a state?
I think there's this crisis. We're trying to catch up with the Supreme Court decision, which I think was wrong, in my view, to say that the FCT has the status of a state for the purpose of election. But it's the Supreme Court, it's final. So what they are doing now is to give the FCT a simulacrum of a state. So it now has a president as a chief executive. Don't forget, under the 1976 FCT Act, the FCT is actually the governor. The chief executive is the president. I think the head of a federal territory is not to have a legislative or council. The idea following from Washington, D.C., is that it's a territory where the president, the chief executive, and the president appoints the Minister of FCT as attorney, donate his power to act on his behalf. So that's what's called a minister. So this notion of creating legislative council, and that's why the National Assembly makes law for it. So I think it's bad. It's going to complicate the
because then you have to have a governor.
Yes.
If it's going to be
so the question is, okay, the legislators make the act. Who signs into law? The president. Is supposed to remain what it is. The National Assembly makes law, and the president exercises the power of a chief executive. It's a territory, not a state. This idea of making it a state through all these creeping judicial decisions.
Yeah. Let's deal with this of, I think it's also resignation before, well, the issue, what is causing the problem in PDP? The question of Anyanwu did not resign before going to seek elective office and then comes back to take his seat. So they're seeking that they want to make it compulsory, national executive, state executive members seeking elective positions to resign.
Yeah. Well, actually, what they are targeting are people in executive office. So, for example, this is also a power play. The National Assembly bill making is always power play with the governor. So what they're doing is this. Look at you want to run for election. Some people are still exercised as minister. They want to run for Senate, challenging them. So they are saying, if you want to run for these offices, you just have to resign. Under the existing constitution, there's no requirement to resign from executive office as state of federal for running. But now they're making it explicit. Don't forget when governor of CBA was rumored to, former governor, rumored to be run for presidency, the argument was, why could he still stay as a governor, exercising influence and running? So now you have to resign. I don't even think it's good. I think it's self-serving because, look, running an election is not a professional work. Nothing stops a minister serving from running. At some point, maybe before the vote, they could decide to resign. So I think this is self-serving, is to help them vis-a-vis executive office.
Because of time, just quickly.
Yeah.
Passing 39 constitutional amendments. I think we're discussing about the way we go about it.
Yeah, I think I've written a lot about, look, constitutional amendments have to be painstaking and one at a time. Every 4 years, we'll throw in 50 bills into the fire, and then the next 2050. Political science research shows clear that the most unstable political systems are those where constitutions are changed regularly. The most stable political systems in the world are those where constitutions rarely change. And the notion is very simple. When you change constitutions too much, you make the constitution a football. It's like a chess game. Everybody knows that the constitution is in play. When we win, we can revise everything. Lack of stability. So I think there should be restraint. The U.S., look at the 13th Amendment. Some of them took like decades, some take long time. Discussions, deliberations. So I'm against this notion of every National Assembly sets up a constitutional review and they put in 30 alterations. Let's talk out, no social science research backing it up, no methodology, and they create these laws that after 2 days, they follow from experience. What happens last election? They used to amend the constitution. Then the next election becomes worse.
Instead of sitting down, looking holistically.
If you want to do a constitutional review, set up a constitutional review committee. They look at the thing, and it should happen once in a while. Okay. And it should be occasioned by real political events that have changed the constitution. Like Chile did with Pinochet constitution. After the Pinochet crisis, Chile says we need to make a new beginning. Not this piece work. It's like a apprentice mechanic just churning out suboptimal laws that really solve no problem. Yeah.
Just churning out
suboptimal laws.
All right, Dr. Sam Amadi, Director, Boje School of Social and Political Thought. Always interesting to pick your brain.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.